Well, we got some disappointing new numbers on the U.S. economy, and it's raised questions over President Obama's second-term agenda, what it is exactly. His administration is clearly, last week and this week, focused on new gun control proposals and major immigration reform legislation. Critics are saying the economy should be issue number one. Take a look at these numbers. The unemployment rate ticked up to 7.9% last month. The nation's GDP shrank 0.1% during the fourth quarter, and U.S. debt is approaching $16.5 trillion. We report, you decide. David Hawkings here to help us out, editor of CQ Roll Call Daily Briefing. Great to see you, David. Good morning.
Nice to be with you, Jamie.
I want to start by asking you about the president's push this week. He'll be making the tour on gun control. He talked last week about immigration. Does he have those two right?
Does he have those two right in terms of boosting the economy, or does?
Well, no, in his position and his proposals. Are those issues that we should take care of in the way he's proposing?
Oh, well, that's not for me to decide, but it certainly seems as though at the moment his immigration proposal is more in line with the public's thinking than his gun control proposal. I think that we have already seen in some of the polling and in some of what members of Congress have said that on gun control, two of his three main legislative proposals, renewing the ban on these military-style AR-15-like rifles, probably doesn't have the votes in Congress, almost certainly doesn't have the votes in Congress. Expanding the ban on high-capacity ammunition magazines, neither does that. That the real legislative focus is going to be on expanding background checks on would-be gun buyers. That's where most of his effort is going to be going, and that seems to be where the sweet spot where he may have legislative success. On immigration, there's much less interest in the public on this at the moment, actually, it seems to me, but he does seem to have the legislative sweet spot more in line. That one also goes a little bit more to the economic question that you started with than gun control. Immigration is viewed in some business quarters as an issue that should be resolved and sort of gotten out of the way to give businesses some certainty that they can hire all categories of workers without fear of reprisal and without fear that this will be hanging over their heads for years to come.
Back to the economy, the GDP and the consumer confidence numbers and where they are right now, are they of concern to you? Do you think they'll correct on their own? And what role do they play with getting people back to work?
Well, I think the GDP did. That was a big surprise. None of the economists that get surveyed before these reports come out predicted an absolute decline. It does seem to me that the consensus view is that it'll bounce back a little bit in the new year, in the first quarter of the new year. That economic decline is entirely attributable to the decline in government spending at all levels. The way that the government puts out this report, you can see that they say that if government spending had not declined, the economy would have grown. So that sort of points to the issue that Congress will be facing before, and let me just make clear that they are going to be talking about the budget again before they take any votes on either gun control or immigration. This budget debate has been put off only for a few weeks.
And on that, David, before we go, the automatic cuts that could come into play, what do you think that looks like if those happen, the economy?
Oh, I think we're already seeing some of the effects on that. The GDP went down in part because defense spending went down so much, and that was in part because the Pentagon was getting ready for these cuts. I think that they are absolutely apprehensive, the business community is, about the next round in the budget. What they want, though, is certainty. They don't expect that the government is going to pump money into the economy to stimulate it. What they do expect is that Congress will put aside its dysfunctional ways and get a deal relatively quickly on this next round that we're going to see in March.
David Hawkings, great to talk to you this morning. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jamie.